Good morning, children. Welcome to the class. See, in the last class, we just started the lesson cost and revenue analysis. In that, we saw what is cost, what is the meaning of cost, the different cost concepts we saw. In that, money cost, real cost, explicit cost and implicit cost we saw. Economic cost, the summation of implicit and explicit cost. Next, social cost, which is incurred by the society. Opportunity cost, the cost of the next best alternative that you are giving up. Sunk cost, the cost that which cannot be recovered. Floating cost, the cost that is incurred to meet out the day-to-day expenses of running the business. Prime cost, it is the addition of variable cost and administration cost. Next, we saw about fixed cost, which does not change with the change in output. The last one what we saw was variable cost, the cost that is incurred which changes along with the level of output. Now let us see the cost concepts in the form of how it is being represented in the form of curves and tables, and in the long run what is the nature of the fixed cost, variable cost and total cost, and in the short run what are the natures of the fixed cost, variable cost, and how it varies. The nature we shall understand with the help of the table and the diagram. Now let us understand in the short run. Before going to the topic, we need to understand what is short run. Short run is a period where you cannot change all the inputs. You can change where only one input could be kept as fixed input. Okay, one input could be kept as changing input, where to increase the output you need to change there are certain inputs which only can be changed. What are the inputs that could be changed during the short period of time? To some extent you can change capital, you can bring in additional capital, you can change labor, you can buy a little more raw materials. So all these factors, okay, or inputs could be changed only to some extent during the short run. That period you call it as short run. Long run is a period where all the inputs are considered to be variable inputs. In the long run, during a long period of time, if you wanted to increase the output, you can change capital, you can change land and building, you can bring more units of labor, you can bring more raw material into use. So all these factors of production are subject to change in a long period of time. Such a period you call it as long period. There is no duration specified for short period and long period. Suppose for example, a big businessman is there whose financial potential is very high. For him to increase the raw material, to increase the factors, all the fixed factors into variable factors, he might require only 6 months time. There might be another businessman where his financial potential is very less. He might require 2 years to change all his inputs to variable inputs. So you cannot define this period is short period, this duration is long period. It again depends upon business to business. Now just understand what is short run. Short run means where certain inputs are kept fixed, okay, and certain inputs are varied to increase the output. Such a period only you call it as short run. Now we need to understand what is the behavior of fixed cost, variable cost and total cost during the short period time. So now here fixed cost is what? Fixed cost is a cost which does not change according to the level of output. If you are producing 0 units, you are incurring same fixed cost. You are producing 5 units, you are incurring the same fixed cost. One example what I would like to tell you is rent and insurance premium. These comes under fixed cost, because even if the factory is not working, if the machines are not working on a day, monthly rent has to be paid. Okay, if the machines are working for 30 days, the same rent only will be paid to the landlord. So such type of expenses comes under the heading of fixed cost. Now just look into the table. The output is given in the first column and fixed cost, total fixed cost is given in the second column. It is in rupees. Cost normally it is measured in rupees. When 0 units is produced, fixed cost is 1000. when as output increases, you are incurring the same amount of fixed cost. That is the reason why it is called as fixed expense. It doesn't change with the output. Now we can take these two parameters in the x-axis and y-axis. In the x-axis we can take output, and in the y-axis we can take the total fixed cost. By taking these two variables on these two axes, when you draw a line, okay, the curve will be a horizontal curve which is parallel to the x-axis, which means at any point of output the cost remains to be the same 1000 rupees. Okay. Now just let us understand this small expression. This equation or this expression, total cost expression, is given. Where it is given, it is just what is hypothetical expression only, algebraic expression only, which tells total cost is a combination of fixed cost and variable cost and fixed cost. Q3 minus 18Q square plus 91Q plus 12. Now here fixed cost in this equation represents 12. Suppose for example, if Q is nothing but quantity of output. Let us take 0 units are produced. When 0 units are produced, when you find the total fixed cost, the value that you get is only 12. Which means even when no output is produced, fixed cost is incurred 12. So in an expression, a variable or a constant always represent fixed cost. Okay. And a variable which has got the algebraic expression which has got a coefficient, that represents variable cost. The next topic is total variable cost. Variable cost is what? Any payments which is made for variable factors. See, now let me give you the example for variable factors. When the output is 0, only 0 raw materials will be used. When no production is made, no workers will be employed to do the production process. So wages will remain the same. When no production is there, fuel cost also will be 0 only. Okay, so these are types of variable costs which are incurred. The amount which is paid towards these variable factors, you call it as total variable cost. Again, we have a hypothetical table. Hypothetical table means what? Some fictitious numbers are given for us to understand. No one has incurred this expense, but for our understanding we have taken some arbitrary numbers. Output is taken in the first column, total variable cost is taken in the second column. When output is 0, no raw material is spent, no wages is being given, no fuel cost is there. So variable cost is also 0. As output increases, you could observe the total variable cost is also increasing. So variable cost, if 5 units of output is produced, 900 units of raw material is being used. So the variable cost, the nature of the variable cost is, as output is increasing, variable cost also will increase. When output is 0, the variable cost is also 0. Now let us go to the graph. How the graph could be constructed using the table. As usual, we take in the output in the x-axis and we take variable cost in the y-axis. Using the same points, we can plot the points, and when you join the curve, you will get a curve which will be sloping upwards, which represents as output increases, the total variable cost keeps on increasing. That is the meaning of this curve. Because when one is increasing, the other variable is also increasing, means then the nature of the curve is how much? How will the nature of the curve be? It will be an upward sloping curve. Where did we learn this concept? When two variables are moving in the same direction, the curve what you get by plotting using these two variables will be an upward sloping curve. The law of supply we saw, because supply curve is an upward sloping curve. Likewise, as output increases, variable cost is also increasing. That is the reason the total TVC curve, total variable cost curve, is upward sloping. One more thing you could understand, you could observe here. It is starting from the origin 0, which means when 0 is the output, 0 money is incurred on variable cost. That is what it means. And for example, to find the total cost, okay, you can substitute. For example, if 4 units are being produced, means in place of Q, you can substitute 4 and find the total variable cost. Out of this, if you wanted to find only the variable cost, you can just take away 12 because here 12 is nothing but fixed cost. So you can just substitute the quantity. For example, if 2 is a quantity, 2 cube minus 18 into 2 square plus 91 into 2. Whatever the value that you get will be the total variable cost. And to that, if you add 12, which is a fixed cost, you will get total cost, which comprises of total fixed cost and total variable cost. Now, let us go to the next topic, total cost curve. That is, when you sum up the total fixed cost and total variable cost, you arrive at total cost. Total cost means what? All the expenses which are made in the production of commodities. That you call it as total cost. So when you sum total all the expenses that you make towards production, the expenses might be fixed expenses also will be included, variable expenses also will be included in the total cost of production. So mathematically, how can you write this is TC, that is total cost, is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. According to our example, total fixed cost is how much? 1000 rupees is the total fixed cost when you which is spent even when the output is 0 and even when the output is 5. Now here let us assume, according to this equation, as the output increases, the variable cost also increases. See here, when one unit is being produced, 1000 is the total fixed cost, 200 is the total variable cost. When you sum up both, you get 1200. Just a table is given for us to understand. The same table for total fixed cost and total variable cost is taken here, and the same values are being entered here. Just look at the first column, units of output produced. Second column, TFC, that is total fixed cost. Third column, total variable cost. When you add both, you get total cost. So when 0 units are produced, 1000 plus 0, you get 1000. When 1 unit is produced, 1000 plus 200, 1200. Likewise, when you add up fixed cost and variable cost, you arrive at the last column, which is the total cost. Now the same thing could be constructed in the form of a graph. Just look at the diagram. You could see already we know what is the nature of the total fixed cost. Total fixed cost curve is horizontal to the axis, x-axis, which means 1000 rupees is the fixed cost incurred. So you could see the TFC curve, which is horizontal to the x-axis. Now TVC, that is total variable cost. Total variable cost increases as the output increases. It is 0 when 0 units is produced. So the TVC starts from the origin. You could see the TVC curve is starting from the origin and it slopes upwards. Now TC curve, that is total cost curve. Total cost curve is a combination of TFC and TVC. You could see the total cost curve starts from 1000. The reason why it starts from 1000 is TC includes TFC plus TVC. So when 0 units are produced, 0 is the total cost incurred. When 1 unit is produced, 1200 is the cost incurred. When 2 units are produced, 1300. When 3 units are produced, 1400. So when you plot this, you will get a curve which will be an upward sloping curve, but it starts from the TFC point. Okay, total fixed cost point, that is 1000 is the total fixed cost, and the slope of the TC and TVC will be almost the same. You could see whatever I told you now, it is given in the form of points. The TFC, it remains parallel to the x-axis, indicating a straight line. And how do we arrive at TC? TFC plus TVC, and TFC curve remains parallel, and TVC, where does it start from? It starts from the origin. When TFC and TVC are added, what do you get? You get total cost. Total cost curve, where does it start from? It starts from TFC point and then it moves upwards. Okay. And then next point, TC curve, it lies above TFC curve and TVC curve because it is a summation of that. TVC curve and TC curve have the same shape, but they both begin at different points. This is the difference between the TVC and TC curve. Next is the next concept called as Average fixed cost. All of us, we might have learnt about averages in our lower classes. How to find average of when few data is given. How to find averages, all of us know, because you are getting your marks. Okay, 6 subjects marks. How do you arrive at the average? You add all the marks of the 6 subjects, divide by 6. So what is the basic formula? Sum of all the observations given divided by number of observations. So the base, whatever we have learnt in lower classes, 6th standard and 7th standard, we might have learnt, is it? The same formula only we are going to apply with to find out the average fixed cost, average variable cost and average cost. Now let us go to the first topic, average fixed cost, AFC. Average fixed cost. What is the formula for average? Total divided by number. Total divided by number of observations. Likewise, to find out average fixed cost, what do we have to do? We need to find total fixed cost divided by quantity of output that is produced. In words, it refers to the fixed cost per unit of output, which means to produce 1 unit of output, what is the fixed cost incurred? That is the meaning of average fixed cost. Please listen carefully, children. These concepts are very, very important. You have sums based on these concepts also. So I want you to be very attentive. If you cannot follow, pause it, rewind it and then listen. Okay. What is how do we arrive at average fixed cost? Total fixed cost divided by Q. That is, Q denotes the number of units that are produced. In words, how can I say average fixed cost is fixed cost for producing 1 unit of commodity. Okay. A small example is given here. If total fixed, according to the same example, if total fixed cost, what have we taken here? 1000 is a fixed cost that we have taken. For example, if the output produces 10, then what is the average fixed cost? TFC is 1000, Q is 10, 1000 divided by 10, it is 100. Very simple. The same thing you can find for 20 also. If total units of output that is produced is 20, TFC is how much? 1000 divided by Q is how much? 20. 1000 divided by 20 is how much? 50. 50 will be the AFC. Now for the same table, same TFC values, we are going to find what is AFC. AFC is what? Average fixed cost. What is the formula? Total fixed cost divided by Q. That is also given in rupees only. Now we just look into the table. 1000 divided by 0, it is infinity. 1000 divided by 1, it is 1000. 1000 divided by 2, 500. Again, just observe the last column, AFC column. Initially, AFC is infinity, then 1000, 500, 333, 250, 200. So, what is happening as output is increasing? As output is increasing, the AFC is falling. Okay, when output, one variable is increasing, the other variable is falling. What sort of relationship? Negative relationship. Then how the curve will be? It will be a downward sloping curve only. Okay, now with the same values, you can just plot it and draw a AFC curve. When you draw the AFC curve, you will get a downward sloping AFC curve. This downward sloping AFC curve denotes that as quantity produced increases, the average fixed cost is falling down, but it will never touch the x-axis, which means it will never become zero. So what does it mean if it is becoming zero? You are producing goods without incurring any cost. That cannot happen. So as output increases, the AFC starts falling down, but it will never touch the x-axis. Just a second, children. So you could see the explanation of the curve. AFC curve, it is declining as output is increasing, but average fixed cost as average total fixed cost remains constant. AFC, what sort of curve is that? It is a downward sloping curve throughout its length, but it will never touch the x-axis or y-axis. Next is shape of AFC curve. What is the shape? It is almost like a rectangular hyperbola. So these are the 3 points which has to be noted with respect to the nature of the average fixed cost curve. Next is we saw total variable cost. Now we are going to see average variable cost. Okay, average variable cost is, how do we arrive at average variable cost? Total variable cost divided by number of units produced. Very simple example, simple explanation. It refers to the total variable cost per unit of output. What is the variable cost that is incurred per unit of output? How do we arrive at? TVC divided by Q. Very simple. Now with the same example, what is given there? The first column Q is given, second column TVC is given, that is total variable cost is given. We can find out AVC, that is average variable cost. What is the formula? Average variable cost is equal to total variable cost divided by quantity. When you arrive at that, Q divided by Q, it is 0. 0 divided by 0, it is 0. 200 divided by 1 unit of output, it is 200. Likewise, when you look at the nature of the average variable cost, initially it is falling down, 200, 150, 133. After a certain point, it starts to increase. This is the nature of the average variable cost, that is, initially it is 0. When output is 0, average variable cost is also 0. So, as average variable cost, initially it starts to decline. Beyond a certain point, it starts to increase. So, when you with the same measurement, when you are going to plot the graph, you will get a curve where it falls down initially. Beyond a certain level, it starts to increase. When 3 units of output is being produced, the variable cost is 133. When 4th unit is produced, it has started to increase. You could see the curve moving upwards. Initially from 200, it fell down to 150, fell down to 133 at 3 units of output. When 4 units of output is produced, average variable cost has started to increase 150, and then again it has started to increase to 180. So, how is the curve looking like? It has got a U shape. The curve, it flows initially, it declines, okay, and then it touches the minimum point and then it starts to increase. So, it has got a U-shaped curve. Whatever I told you is given here, okay. Next is average total cost or just average cost, okay. Average cost and average total cost, very simple. How do we arrive at the formula? Total cost divided by quantity produced, that's all. How do we arrive at total cost? Total fixed cost plus total variable cost. When you add that, you get total cost. So, average total cost or otherwise average cost, we get by dividing total cost by quantity of output that is being produced. This table gives us in a consolidated manner all the values. How we arrive at average total average cost. The last column, when you see average cost, okay, you can arrive at in 2 ways. Either you add average fixed cost plus average variable cost, you will get average cost, or else total cost divided by quantity also, you get average cost or average total cost. Both the values will be the same. You could observe this. Average ATC, you have first formula TC by Q. Next formula is TFC plus AFC plus AVC. In both the cases, you will arrive at the same values. Now, when you see the nature of the average cost, initially it is falling down. Beyond a certain point only, it will start to increase. Okay, beyond a certain point, it will start to increase. Now, with the help of the table, you can just draw a diagram also. You can draw a chart also. You could see the ATC curve. Initially, it falls down, touches a minimum level, and beyond a certain level, it starts to increase. So, the ATC curve or otherwise the AC curve is also a downward sloping curve. Okay, it is also what? A downward sloping curve. Now, having given total cost, okay, you can find the average cost given the quantity of output. See, in the example what is given, they have given total cost is 1600, quantity of output is 4 they have given. Very simple. How to find out average cost, average total cost or average cost? 1600 divided by 4, which is 400. Very simple. Average cost, average total cost is 1600 divided by 4, which is 400. Now, there is one more method to find also. You can just find out from the equation that is given if you want. Next is marginal cost. Marginal cost is when one additional unit of output is produced, what is the addition made to total cost? Okay, when you are going to produce one extra additional unit of output, what is the addition that you are making to total cost is the marginal cost. Just look at with the table, it would be, I can explain you a little more better. When 0 units of output is produced, total cost is 1000. Then 1 unit is produced, total cost is how much? 1200. Now, one additional unit is produced. What is the addition made here to total cost? From 1000, it has increased to how much? 1200. So, marginal cost is what? 1200 minus 1000, which is 200. The second unit of output is being produced. So, output is increasing by one more unit. How much is total cost increasing? From 1200, it has increased to 1300. Now, what is the marginal cost here? 1300 minus 1200, which is 100. Next is, as output increases, you could see the total cost keeps on increasing. The marginal cost also, it is the difference between the subsequent total cost. Look at the marginal cost here, 200, 100, 100, 200, 300. When you observe this table, initially the marginal cost is falling down. Beyond a certain level, the marginal cost will start to increase. Now, with the same table, you can just construct a graph also. MC curve also could be constructed. What is happening? Initially, the marginal cost is falling down. Beyond a certain level, it starts to increase. So, the curve also will be, the MC curve also will be a U-shaped curve. Okay, what is the nature of the MC curve? That also will be a U-shaped curve. Whatever I have explained you, the same thing is given in this paragraph. The formula for calculating marginal cost is what? TCN minus TCN minus 1. And the point to be noted from the interpretation that is understood from the table and graph is MC marginal cost first falls, because initially the variable cost is very efficiently utilized. That is why the cost is falling down. And MC curve, it increases after a certain point. And the curve starts sloping upwards, which means the cost is on the higher side. So, what is the nature of the MC curve? It is a U-shaped curve. When you find the slope of TC, you will arrive at MC. Okay. When you find the slope of TC, you can arrive at MC. That is, when you differentiate the total cost equation, you can arrive at marginal cost, which we shall learn under the heading of differentiation and integration. We need not break our heads now. This particular topic, the slope of TC is MC. Okay, how to find the slope of TC? When you differentiate the total cost equation, you will get the marginal cost equation, which I shall teach you in the last topic, because only one sentence is given. Okay, we will be learning in depth about that particular topic. Next is the relationship between AC and MC. That is average cost and marginal cost. Very simple. The curves are given here. With the help of the curves itself, you can understand the relationship. The red color curve is the average cost curve. How does it look? It is a U-shaped curve. The green color curve is nothing but the MC curve. That is also a U-shaped curve. Now, let us understand parallelly, when AC is falling, it is dropping down. Where is MC lying? MC is below AC. Okay, when AC is falling down, you could find the MC curve lying below the AC curve. Now, when AC is constant, when you look at this table graph and the graph at 5, AC is constant. At that point, when AC is remaining constant, MC is also equal to AC. You could see the green curve and the red curve touching each other, intersecting at quantity 5, which means when AC is at its lowest or constant, MC is also equal to AC. This is the second relationship. Third one is when AC starts increasing. When AC is increasing, MC will be above AC. Okay, MC will be above AC. Now the fourth point is the MC curve will always cut the AC curve at AC's minimum point. It will cut from below only, it will come and cut the curve. Okay, this is one of the important points. The MC curve will cut the AC curve. You could see the green color curve cutting the red color curve. At which point it is cutting? At the AC's minimum point. Okay, where the AC is at its minimum, at that point only MC curve will cut the AC curve. Where does it cut from? It will not cut from above, it will cut from below. Okay, so these are the four relationships between AC and MC. It is an important 3-mark answer where you need to draw the curve and write the 4 points. Next is, what is the nature of the curves in the long run? So far whatever we saw was pertaining to short period, that is short run. Now let us understand what will be the nature of the curves in the long period. I told you in the long run all the factors are variable factors. There is nothing called as fixed factor, there is nothing called as variable factor. So you cannot differentiate it in the long run as total fixed cost, total variable cost. You can never differentiate, because in the long run all the factors could be changed. As a result, even fixed cost will become variable cost. So there is only one cost which is called as total cost in the long run. So in the long run, all factors, whatever I told you, is given here. Okay, and just look at the nature of the curve here. This long run average cost curve, as such you cannot draw an LAC curve for a long period of time, because initially when the business is starting, they will initially all of a sudden they will not install 100 plants and 1000 plants. Plant here I mean plant and machinery. Initially they will start with small short run average cost curves, and as years output increases, more number of plant and machinery will be installed, and the long run cost curve will be a sum of more number of short run average cost curves. That is the reason why the LAC envelops more number of short run average cost curves. So LAC is nothing but total long run total cost divided by quantity of output. So the LAC is also called as plant curve or boat shaped curve or envelope curve or planning curve. The reason is, during the long run we plan for plant and machinery. It is a boat shaped curve, so it is called as a boat shaped curve. With this I finish today's class, children. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.